sit yourself on your left. So just find a position where you feel even and you feel balanced underneath your seat bones. So whichever position. So Juliet, you can just stretch your legs out if that feels better. Even it actually looks like quite a lot of effort getting to the floor. So just maybe sit on something higher, sit on a chair or on the bed, but you're down now, so just stay there. So just find a position where you feel nice and even. Grip around your knees and lift and open the chest. Draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Just take some deep in breaths and some deep out breaths. Just close your eyes for a moment and just focus on the sound of the breath as it enters and as it exits. Fill in the lungs all the way out to the periphery. Fill in the lungs completely, drawing in energy. So breathe in deeply and breathe out slowly. Because if you breathe in really deeply and breathe out too quickly, it can make you feel dizzy. Soften your jaw and your tongue and open your eyes and place your eyes on something that doesn't move ahead of you, just something that's on the floor. Soften your jaw and your tongue and your throat. Bring your hands into Namaste. Press the palms firmly together, lengthen from the armpits into the elbows, from the elbows into the heels of the heels of the hands up into the fingertips. And with an exhalation, allow your eyes to gently close. Just breathing nice and deeply in through the nose, out through the nose. Listening to the sound of the breath. Fill in the lungs all the way out to the tips of the bronchial tubes. Feeling the lining of the lungs expand with the in-breath. As you extend your spine upwards, as you inhale, allow the muscles around the chest to soften in order to make the in-breath non-resistant. So that's the muscles around the shoulder blades, around the front of the chest, around the armpit chest. Allow those to expand fully so that you ingest each in-breath to its full capacity. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Just spend a moment to seek to generate a genuine, heartfelt sense of gratitude, something or someone. And then just gently release your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. And as you raise your head, just allow your eyes to softly open. So come down onto your knees for Adho Mukha Virasana. So Juliet, rather than coming down onto your knees, you can go either straight up into dog down or supta baddhakonasana, or whatever version of that your knee will allow. So just in virasana, just sit back on your heels, and then wriggle into the inner heel. So try and get the outer buttocks to kind of really sink into the inner heels. So lift and open your chest, and then just gently come forwards into Adho Mukha Virasana. So pressing the palms into the floor, stretching your arms away. Breathing nice and softly in through the nose and out through the nose. So straightening your arms by hitting the outer elbows inwards to give you length of the arms. And then as you lock those outer elbows in, observe that it gives you length in your side ribs and along the kind of center of the spine. Breathing nice and softly in through the nose and out through the nose. Breathe into the fullest extent that you can, breathing into the lining of the lungs. And then come up onto your knees, turn your toes under, have your feet as wide apart as the mat, and then come up into Adho Mukha Svanasana, dog with the head down. So tightening your kneecaps, lifting the thigh muscles, pushing the thigh muscles into the bone, making the thigh muscles lift up the bone. Turn your thighs inwards. So turn the fronts of the thigh muscles inwards from the little toe side to the big toe side. Turn the shins, the fronts of the shins, turn those inwards as well from the little toe side to the big toe side, so that the backs of the thighs broaden and your heels start to move apart. Breathe nice and softly in through the nose and out through the nose. Softening the jaw and your tongue and your throat. Breathe nice and softly in through the nose, out through the nose. Okay, and then step forward, just come up into a standing position and bring your feet as wide apart as your mat, turning your toes inward so that the outside edge of your feet line up with the edge of your mat. Raise your arms, thumbs into the crease of the elbows, and then either come just halfway if you've got problems with your back, just put your arms onto the back of a chair or onto a tabletop. And if your back is okay, then hang down. But keep the legs sharply activated, tightening the kneecaps, tightening the thigh muscles, lifting the backs of the thighs all the way from the seat bone, lifting the seat bones away from the heels. Breathe in nice and softly in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the sound of the breath. Softening the jaw and your tongue, softening your throat. Just observing where your body is today, how attentive your muscles are. Release your hands down towards the floor and then come up into a standing position, just to come into Tadasana. So just have your inner edge of the feet together, the heels touching, your big toes touching, and just come into Tadasana, lifting and opening the chest. So spend a little time just breathing nice and deeply in through the nose and out through the nose. Filling the lungs completely. Bring your arms out nice and wide in towards your chest, and then step or jump the feet nice and wide apart. Turn your left toes in and your right leg and foot all the way out. And then just notice that there's that natural propensity for your hips to kind of turn with the front leg. So you've got to turn this left hip outwards, tighten the kneecaps, stretch your arms out, and then come over, find your shin and turn the chest. Just feel where you are within your pose to start off with. Just feel the body like you're scanning the body with a radar. So that radar kind of starts maybe at the head, goes all the way down to the back leg. Just breathe nice and softly. Feel that you're lifting your kneecaps, you're tightening the thigh muscles, you're lifting the thighs up into the hips. You're lifting from the toes into the heels, from the heels up into the hips, from the hips up into the chest, turning the chest up to face the ceiling. Breathing nice and softly in through the nose and out through the nose. Look down. Is your head over your foot, or is it kind of somewhere in the middle of the room? So lift your chest if your head isn't over your foot. Turn the thigh of that front leg from the big toe side to the little toe side. Push the front leg buttock bone forwards and lift and open the chest so that your head goes directly over the foot. Reach up with the top hand, come back to the center, and then swap the feet around. Turn your right toes in and your left leg and foot all the way out. Reach all the way out and then come over to the other side. Breathe in nice and softly in through the nose and out through the nose, or lift in the chest. Again, just look down. Is your head over your foot? If it's not, turn the left thigh more from the big toe side to the little toe side so that the buttock bone pushes forwards. Resist that forward action with your back leg. Push the back leg towards the room, to the wall behind you. Turn the thigh of that front leg. Push the buttock bone forwards and then lift and open the chest. Breathe in nice and softly in through the nose, out through the nose. Turn the chest to the ceiling, look up if you can. Reaching up with the top hand, come back to the center, bring your feet parallel, and then step or jump your feet back together. Just come back into Tadasana. Just listen to the sound of the breath. It comes in through the nose, out through the nose. Bring your arms nice and wide, and then step your feet as wide apart as you can. Prasarita, padottanasana. Turning your toes inwards and then straightening your legs by tightening the kneecaps. Have your hands on your hips and draw the elbows towards each other. Lift your chest from the belly button up towards the diaphragm region, to the diaphragm, to the collarbone. And then hinge at the hips, come forwards, hinging at the hips, and then find the floor. If you can't find the floor, then use blocks for underneath your hands. Obviously have 2 blocks, 1 block for each hand. Breathe in nice and softly in through the nose and out through the nose. Tilting the seat bones up towards the ceiling so the backs of the legs lengthen. Keep the kneecaps pressing into the sockets, lifting the backs of the thighs up, projecting the abdomen towards the diaphragm, diaphragm towards the collarbone, collarbone towards the chin. Breathing nice and softly. Now, if you can straighten your back at this stage, if there's no kind of humping action in the shoulder blades, if there's no rounding action in the shoulder blades, then you can come forwards into the next stage where you bring your head down into the floor and bring the heels of your hands in line with the heels of the feet, fingers pointing forwards. let your head hang down onto the floor. Push the hands into the floor, right? You're going to kind of kick up into a 3-point handstand. We're not going to do that, but activate your hands as if you're kind of trying to press your hands into the floor for balance. Listen to the sound of the breath as it enters and as it exits. Breathe in nice and softly. Okay, lift the head, come back up to the halfway point. Bring the heels of the hands down onto the floor, bend your knees, and then step or jump your feet back together. And then come up into Tadasana, just into Tadasana, lifting and opening the chest. Breathing nice and softly in through the nose and out through the nose. Stretch your arms out in front. Interlock the fingers right into the webbing of the hands and turn the palms all the way out. Don't worry about cracks and pops. And then just raise your arms to the ceiling. Breathe in nice and softly in through the nose and out through your nose. Soften the jaw and in your tongue. Release your arms down. Swap the interlock of the fingers. Turn your palms all the way out and then raise your arms up. Listen to the sound of the breath as it enters and as it exits. Try not to poke your head forwards because that makes you drop your chest. So bring your ears towards the wall behind you. Lift your toes. And just bring your arms back down. Come down onto your knees. Come down onto your front. And then just bring your fingertips underneath your shoulders, your toes. Turn them under, turn your toes in, and then come up into dog down. So keep your hands and your feet where they are, unless when you come up, you discover you're out of line with yourself. Resist the temptation to walk your hands towards your feet or vice versa. Tighten in the kneecaps, drawing the kneecaps through to the back of the knee. Lifting the fronts of the thighs, pushing them into the bone to start off with, and then lifting the thighs up towards the crease of the groin. Breathing nice and softly in through the nose and out through the nose. Breathing deeply in through the nose, filling the lungs all the way to the periphery. Holding you in the pose for too long, then rest down in Adho Mukha Virasana if you can, or supta baddhakonasana if you can't. Okay, come down onto your knees. If you can, if you can't, go down into supta baddhakonasana and then stretch forwards in Adho Mukha Virasana. So, or you can just stay in dog down if you want to. Juliet, if you're just protecting your knee. So everyone else come into Adho Mukha Virasana if you can. Lengthening the seat bones down towards the floor. Breathing nice and softly in through the nose, out through the nose. Bring your hands back to your knees and then come up into sitting back on your heels and then come down onto the floor for supta baddhakonasana. So just make sure that you can just stretch yourself out. So just adjust the position, Juliet, out in whatever way you need to. So you can always support your legs with bolsters or blocks. Just rest in supta baddhakonasana, push the heels consciously together to create compactness in your hips. Rest your hands on your lower ribs and just breathe nice and deeply in through the nose and out through the nose, soft in your jaw. Just breathe to the tips of the bronchial tubes. Feel that the chest rises upwards and outwards with the in-breath. Extend your arms up towards the ceiling, interlock your fingers and turn your palms all the way out, and then lengthen your arms along the floor. So if there's any stiffness in your shoulders, you can support your shoulders by putting blocks or folded blanket or whatever you need underneath your hands so that you can lengthen your arms, you can straighten your arms, you don't overdo your shoulders. So otherwise bring your hands all the way down to the floor. Remember to push the heels together to maintain the dynamic action of your legs. Extending your arms away. Breathing nice and softly in through the nose and out through the nose. And then release your arms. Just bring your arms over your head. Swap the interlock of your fingers so you do the unnatural interlock, and then turn your palms up to face the ceiling and then extend your arms along the floor again. Breathe in deeply. And then just release your arms up towards the ceiling, unhook your hands, and then just rest your hands back on your lower ribs so that you can feel the action of your breath. So observe that you've warmed up your shoulders by extending your arms away. You've warmed up the upper arms and the lower arms. And then when you are ready, just draw your knees towards each other. The knees together and the feet apart. Just rest down into the floor. And then if you can, pull your knees in towards your chest. Just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom. And then just gently roll over onto your right side and straighten out your top leg and come up into a seated position. So I want you to sit on a blanket, or we're just going to kind of sit on this corner edge of the blanket. So get your folded blanket and just place it, and then you're going to just sit on the kind of sharp edge of the blanket, and then just bring your legs out nice and wide for upavistha konasana. So the legs are wide, and then you might need some blocks as well. Maybe I should have said that before you got yourself into position. But blocks, you don't necessarily need them, but they'll be there just to kind of help. So have your legs nice and wide, and then I want you to kind of roll onto the front edge of the seat bones. I want you to tighten the thigh muscles, to tighten the kneecaps, and to turn the thighs from the little toe side to the big toe side. So the legs are nice and wide, but then we kind of draw these thigh muscles inwards so that the inner knee is drawing itself down towards the floor. Have your hands behind the hips, and then push your hands into the floor and lift the spine up towards the ceiling. So just breathing nice and softly in through your nose and out through your nose, extending from the hips into your heels and lengthening the spine up towards the ceiling. So you might just want to stay at this stage, especially if you've got back problems. We're going to come forwards. So you might want to use your blocks. So you have your blocks for your hands. You're going to roll onto the front edge of your seat bones, and then you're going to walk your hands forward. So using your blocks, or you can just come, or you can just bring your hands directly onto the floor and walk your hands forwards, lifting the chest, driving the chest away. So as you come forward, you've got to really lengthen from the hips into the heels. Don't forget your legs as you come forwards. Breathing nice and softly in through your nose and out through your nose, pressing your kneecaps down towards the floor, coming forwards, lifting the front chest. So breathing nice and softly, pushing the kneecaps down into the floor, lifting the front chest, breathing nice and softly in through your nose and out through your nose. And then walk your hands back. And then stay on your lift, and then bring your legs into baddhakonasana. So bring the feet in towards each other, maybe sit a little more securely on the lift, and then bring your legs into supta baddhakonasana. Grip around your big toes and lift and open your chest. Breathe nice and softly. So there's a number of variations that will work for this pose. So sometimes when I'm in supta, when I'm in seated baddhakonasana like this, sometimes gripping hold of my big toes makes me feel like I kind of close here. So I've got to really broaden and open the chest, driving the chest up towards the chin, gathering the shoulder blades together. So just breathe nice and softly, push the heels together, and then lengthen the inner groin into the inner knee. Breathing nice and softly in through the nose and out through the nose. Again, this becomes a forward bending action. So push your heels together. Again, if you've got problems with the back, come forwards with caution, or just stay at the first stage. As you come forward, lift the front chest. So we're not kind of rounding our backs to come forwards. We're lifting from the front. Come forwards, bending your elbows into the inner thighs if you can, and then come forwards. If you can, then you reach your hands forwards and breathe. So just lifting and opening your chest, pushing the heels together, lengthening into the front chest, lengthening from the abdomen up to the diaphragm, to the collarbone, keeping the seat bones firmly down. Breathing nice and softly. And then just gently come back to the center. Just grip around your knees and lift and open the chest. So we're still sitting on our lift. Breathing nice and softly in through the nose and out through the nose. And then bring your legs into swastikasana, into crossed legs. So you're still sitting on your lift and you come into crossed legs. So Juliet, if you can't sit in crossed legs because you've got that bandage, you can either sit on your kind of higher level, or so just something that's going to make you kind of as comfortable as you can be. So don't overdo it, obviously. Just sit on something that's going to kind of make you comfortable, help you to kind of just level out your that bend of the knee. So everyone else, grip around your knees, lift and open the chest, draw your shoulders down towards the floor. Just look down at the floor and just focus on the breath. Soften your jaw and your tongue. And then we're going to do a little bit of brahmari pranayama. So remember, brahmari is where you exhale until the lungs are empty, and you exhale on with a hum. So you hum a low note, and you hum until the air runs out. So just lifting and opening the chest. You can close your eyes. Just breathing normally initially. Just feeling the lungs inflate and deflate, inflating evenly on both sides. Take a normal out breath and then a normal in breath. And then we'll hum the note. I'll bring the microphone up so that it doesn't cut out. And then several cycles. And just one more. And then bring the breath back to a normal rhythm. Grip around your knees and lift the chest. So Juliet, stay on your chair. So we're just going to turn so you can do that on your chair. So lift and open the chest and then just turn all the way around to the right side. So we're still sitting on our little blanket, turning the abdomen and the ribs and the shoulders, keeping your neck soft, not straining to look over your shoulder, just keeping your head in line with the chest and turning the abdomen and the ribs and the shoulders. Breathing nice and softly in through your nose and out through your nose. And then come back to the centered grip around your knees, lift and open the chest. And then turn to the left. Breathe in nice and softly in through your nose, out through your nose. Turning the abdomen and the ribs, chest. And then just gently come back to the center. And then we're going to come down onto the floor. And if you've got a bolster, then you can put a bolster for underneath your back. So we're just going to come down into supta baddhakonasana. So with a bolster, if you've got it, if you haven't, then you can just roll up some blankets or a pillow or whatever, just to give you a little lift for underneath your back. And then we're going to come into supta baddhakonasana. So you just sit close to the bolster and then lift and open the chest. And as you come down, you might feel like your head is kind of rolling back a little bit. So if that's the case, and if your chin is higher than your forehead, then get your blanket and place it underneath your head. So just bring yourself into supta baddhakonasana. So the knees are together. Sorry, the feet are together. The feet are touching, your knees are nice and wide. And then just bring yourself down along your bolster. So the chest lifts and opens, and the rounded shape of the bolster, if you've got a cylindrical bolster, really helps you to lift and open the front chest. So just get yourself comfortable. If it's uncomfortable in your back particularly, then just adjust the position that you're sitting in. So move the seat bones away from the bolster a little, so that you really do allow your lower back to soften. So breathe nice and softly in through the nose and out through the nose, just normal breathing. So breathing deeply, listening to the sounds of the breath. So as you stay and remain, just focus on the breath, keeping the breath deep and soft, but just normal breathing at this stage. Just listen to the sound of the breath. If there's stiffness in your hips, then you can support the thighs with some blocks or folded up blankets. Listen to the sound of your breath. So stage 1, ujjayi pranayama, just brings attentiveness to the mind and focuses the mind on the breath. So observe the rise and the fall of the chest as you inhale and exhale. Ensure that you are breathing evenly into both lungs. Listening to the sound of the breath. then when you're ready, just gently draw your knees towards each other and then bring yourself back up into a seated position. And then just move your bolster, come down onto your back, and then I want you to put the bolster underneath your lower back for viparita karanhi. So just bring the bolster just so that the sacrum spine is just resting on the bolster, or whatever lift you have, just put it underneath your lower back, and then elevate your legs up towards the ceiling, viparita karanhi. So in viparita karanhi, there's a tendency to want to drop and sink in the chest, but you have to continue to breathe really deeply. So bring your arms out to the sides and then turn the palms all the way to face the floor, and then kind of rotate the triceps around towards the biceps so that you really come up onto the tops of your shoulders, and then just rest your hands on the top of the bolster or grip around the top of the bolster, but stay on the tops of your shoulders. Again, just breathe in consciously and deeply, and just feeling that you can fill the lungs all the way to the lining. Breathing into both lungs evenly, breathing out of both lungs evenly. So if, like me, you often feel like sometimes it's difficult to breathe through my nostrils because of sinusitis, even when I don't have the kind of major symptoms. Sometimes my nose gets blocked really, really easily. So sometimes only one nostril is clear. So you have to really consciously then breathe into both sides of the lungs. Just evening out the inflation and the deflation. This is a supported inversion just to support the immune system. Keeping the legs extending up towards the ceiling. Keeping the legs in tadasana. So the inner edge of the feet are together. You can push the heels apart slightly, rotate the thighs inwards, turn the shins inwards. Breathe nice and softly. And then just bend your knees, bring your feet back down onto the floor. Just stay with the bolster underneath you for a moment. Just have a moment of just relaxation, of respite. And then just lift the seat bones up, just move the bolster out of the way. And then come up onto your elbows and make sure that you're in a really good straight line right down the center of your mat. And then guide yourself down along the floor. Have a blanket underneath your head, pulling that blanket down into the shoulders, and then just make sure that your equipment is not preventing you from stretching out. Let your arms rest on the floor, let your feet fall apart, let your legs relax. So viparita karanhi is quite strong on thighs, so really allow the legs to relax. Soften the thighs. Use the out breath to release if there's tension. Soften your jaw and your tongue. Just allowing your arms to release, your legs to release, so that they go heavy on the floor, unhooking the muscles. Just allow the body to become heavy on the floor. As you release into the floor, as you let go of the muscles, maybe you start to feel that your energy rises to the top. The energetic body makes itself visible. Just feeling that as you release the muscles of the arms and the muscles of the legs, you start to feel lightness as the energy rises to the top of the skin. Okay, when you're ready to disturb yourself, just gently wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers, bring your feet in towards your body, and then just give yourself a gentle rock from side to side, just a gentle grounding massage on the spine. And then just gently rock yourself over to your right side, and then straighten out your top leg, come back into a seated position, and just come back into just a simple cross-legged position. Just grip around your knees, bring your hands into the Masti, close your eyes. Draw your breath in through your nose, down into the abdomen. Just be conscious of the energy that you've released through your practice this morning. Good, clean, positive energy that you release as a result of the extensions, the twists, the inversions. Bring your chin down to meet your chest. Just spend a moment to seek to generate a genuine, heartfelt sense of gratitude for something or someone. And then release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. As you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open. Thank you very much. Thank you.